and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome along the online Darts Live Lounge. Here we are, 8 p.m. on a Monday. Me, Phill, Bars, Lee Boyce, and some kid that thinks he's rather cool and hip now. He's got his cap backwards in Jack Garwood. How are you doing, boys?
Respect, pa.
Never a dull moment. Gob's gone all hipster. Boise returns from being ill. And then we have plenty to talk about, boys.
I ain't gone hipster. I just went out and didn't do anything to my hair today. This covers it.
This is for everyone else. This is a Tuesday to Friday dob. This is when you don't see midweek. This is what he's normally looking like.
When there's paparazzi around now, boys, you gotta cover up.
I'll tell you what, how things escalated from last Monday when we looked at it. It was just an average week. We had the Premier League, some Pro Tour events, Euro Tour qualifier, and in the blink of an eye, all of a sudden, Planet Darts goes absolutely berserk.
Yeah, we're all sat in the Norton house.
Welcome along chat room as always. Plenty is in. Tommy, how are we doing? James is in. Andrew, Craig, my friends, good to see you. Jack, Tommy said a guest every week. Yeah, and this one we actually planned in advance, and Boise sorted it out 4 days ago.
Day of the Premier League, day of the World Cup announcement. When was that? Thursday. Yeah, Thursday it was planned.
Darts World is. I'll tell you what, keeping that announcement quiet. Oh my god, I don't think I've ever sat on anything like that in all my life. Obviously, we'll talk on that in a minute. But we were lucky enough to be at the UK Open, and I'd planned to do something with Matt, and we were prepping, getting ready to sit down and everything. And I was like, World Cup's on the agenda, and he was like, when's this going out? I was like, when do you want this to go out, Matt? So look, he gave us the news, and we sat on it, and it was tough to keep it quiet, but look, worth it. We'll come on to that. Alex is in. Adam, how we doing? Matty.
Sick bed, my ass, by the way. Hello, Boise. 7 days is a long time in football. I've forgotten about sick bed, my self-induced long-term hangover because he can't handle defeat.
I can't handle my beer. I still haven't sent you the pictures of me and videos of me coming back from the UK Open. Just say the side of my friend's tart is still, well, I hope it's clean now. It cost me a pretty penny for the inside, never mind the outside.
How are we doing, Carl? Hope you are good. God, looking like a beastie boy.
I prefer PJ and Duncan.
Gangster Gob. The tungsten toff's gone gangster. How are we doing, Jamie?
Don't say it like that. I feel like some 35-year-old parent that's just trying to fit in at the school gate.
Evening, Helen. Hope you are all good. Aaron is in. Adam is in. Loads in the chat room. It's all good. Remember, get involved all the way through the show, and we will do our best to get to you all. Right, where to start? Let's try and do this in some kind of order. I say some in brackets because it will just descend into chaos as always.
What are you trying to say, Phill?
That it will descend into chaos.
Oh, I don't know about that. I'm well behaved. I think that's big at you, Lee.
Are you trying to kid again?
Nothing to do with me.
Lee's definitely talking about you there, mate.
We'll do last week's Premier League first.
I'll start with a fun bit, yeah.
Looking at the Premier League, for some reason one of my slides hasn't loaded, so I'm just going to load it up there. But Liverpool, again, chat room. First of all, your first thoughts on Liverpool. I'm going to throw mine out there. Disappointed would be the word I'd use.
Yeah, me too, mate. After we beat Man United 7-0 to lose to Bournemouth.
Darts show. Dog.
Oh, that's convenient. How many messages I got Saturday afternoon as well, by the way?
When have we ever changed from that?
Going, and then you lot draw with Southampton.
I never laughed at you. I never laughed at you on Saturday.
No, you put something on Facebook.
It was never aimed at you. If you want to follow me or be my friend, that's your choice.
You're an absolute liar. Football's a funny game or something, I believe was the line, Mr. Boys. Just after our full-time result came in. Yeah, I know you.
Oh no, that was from last week. UK Open. Phill will tell you that the Wi-Fi isn't very good at the UK Open, so it didn't send from last Sunday.
Yeah.
It only sent on the Saturday.
By
my the Wi-Fi in my head is like AOL dial-up. Absolute shite.
See, I sent that on Sunday, mate. Just behind times.
How are we doing, Jason? Right, Liverpool. There it is. Look, disappointed, and the first thing that stands out, it felt disappointing on the night, and then looking at the nightly average, that is the lowest of the 6 by some way so far.
Yes. I mean, this is the one day of darts of the entire week that I haven't actually seen. So Boise, take a step up, son.
on the most disappointing night of the Premier League, I know we're saying of this year, but it's got to be in the mix without looking back at last year. It's got to be in the mix for that. I know it doesn't help with the semi-final performance from the ASP average-wise, but generally it wasn't great. The ice being, I was going to say MVG in the final, but it was Dobey early on. Being a losing quarter-finalist, I don't know. It doesn't help the fact that we'd enter the midway point, and a lot of people who get more excited than Dob, shall we say, about the Premier League, are starting to this point and are being a bit disappointed with what we're seeing. And then we're seeing from the players a drop in performance. It doesn't help with the argument the Premier League being as is currently. So it was a disappointing night. And I guess from your perspective, Jack, you're hoping for something better in Nottingham this week. I don't expect it to be that bad than this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's 2 days away and I still don't have a ticket. But yeah, I'm hoping. Traditionally, we're quite a bland evening. Look, we've had Aspinall there as a contender. We had Fallon Sherrick there as a contender of the two. In the 2 years that we had it, even they were quite dull nights. And Fallon was meant to be a big, big deal that night. That caused a stir a little. But actually, in terms of what has been produced in Nottingham in the last few years, it has never been a standout night. Ever.
But it should be an improved night from previous weeks, which is sometimes what you have to look at. I can't see it getting worse than what we saw last Thursday. Whether that was a knock-on effect of having a Premier League the previous Thursday, then a big televised tournament on the weekend, maybe that could have had an impact on the players. The fact that a lot of them, yes, we see it with Pro Tours, but it's just relentless, isn't it, the UK Open? So maybe that had an impact on the level of performance, but hopefully we'll return to a bit of normality this Thursday.
And look, JK summed it up there. Monotonous is the word.
Yeah.
And he's summed it up perfectly there, that this just the same 8 each week. They got away with it last year because no one dominated nights. No one put a massive run together. But this year, it's just a bit meh.
Wasn't Clayton in over half of the finals?
I think so, yeah. I think he won
half of the finals.
I think he won 4 nights.
4 semi-finals. He lost 4. 4 finals, 4... Yeah, he did 4, 4, 4, 4. 4 wins, 4 finals, 4 semis, 4 first rounds.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem is, Gezi didn't have a great night last week, which didn't help, considering when we see him rock up at the Pro Tour on the Saturday, it was on a different level again. Peter Wright struggling with equipment, so that's not ideal. Van Gerwen is going through the gears. Johnny Clayton, positive signs, game's on the way back up. But if you run him into Van Gerwen, he's one of the more informed players elsewhere at the minute. You're taken out by a big gun. Michael Smith struggling with an injury. We're seeing Dimmy change his pace and try and get used to that and everything that comes with that. Dobey winless since week 1. Nathan Aspinall is always going to be a bit of a battler. I feel a bit harsh, keep just chucking that tag at him, but he is that.
There's a couple of bits for me that I think we should bring up before we look at the table and spoiler alert and everything like that. One, obviously, in the venue, we get to see the players warming up because we've got a screen before they come on and whatever. And I messaged you boys, a couple of minutes before the TV pictures come on, and I was like, look what he's throwing.
The thing is, when it's Peter Wright, we shouldn't be surprised with his darts, but the manner of this change. And every so often, he throws up one. Every sort of, seems to be like 5-6 months, he will throw up on the eye, a ridiculous dart. And he seemed to do that on Thursday. And from his point of view, he'll look at it that he got his first win in the Premier League, so it worked in his favour. So Peter Wright, as we've seen before, will take the positive that he's got his first win using what on the eye is a ridiculous dart. It certainly put social media on what sometimes can be Premier League slightly quieter. We sort of seen that down to overdrive between 7 and 7:30 when Peter Wright come out with those. But it worked. He got his first win, so we can always have question marks. The longevity of him using them darts just isn't going to happen, is it?
And we talked about it. There it is from Carl, as always. Great statistician. Third lowest Premier League night since the new format. Lowest since May the 19th, 2022, night 15.
Who cares by week 15?
Yeah, there's only normally one game that really matters by that stage.
Yeah.
I guess the thing with Peter Wright's start is where he's been telling us for weeks he's uncomfortable and cannot find a setup he likes at the minute. So to go and do something radical, maybe it's just get it out of his system. Because for a man that's chopped and changed as much as he has throughout his career, he has been pretty solid in throwing straight barrel darts recently. All right, we've started to see it get more and more. I don't know what the word is. More and more expansive and different in recent times when he has been struggling. But sometimes I think he just needs that 1 week where he goes, right, I've got that in my system now. I'm going to go straight back to them straight darts and see what I can do with them and notice the improvement once again.
Yeah. Look, whilst we're on the subject of Peter Wright, by the way, I don't know if this came across on TV because the sound engineer was rather busy on Thursday. Let's just say the audio got dipped a fair lot. God knows the song that they were singing.
Was it political?
Yeah, it was. Rather loud at times. But the last 3 Premier League venues, Peter Wright has been physically booed. And not just a little bit. In Dublin, I think it massively affected him. And I thought maybe it was just the Irish booing the Scottish or whatever, but it happened in Exeter and it happened in Liverpool. Peter Wright's always been a fan favourite. Where's this come from?
I don't know the answer to it, but is the change finally getting a bit boring for everyone else? And the strange thing for people to see now would be seem to stick with darts for a 2-3 month period. I'm not sure where it's done from. There's not a moment that seems to stand out. He doesn't seem himself over the last few months. That sort of arrogance and that sort of persona that he brings across on stage just isn't there at the moment. But to that booze has probably been a huge surprise to him. As I mentioned a few weeks back, the impact the Scottish fans had him put pressure on his shoulders because of the support he got. And then he's had the flip of that for 3 weeks and only got 1 win in that time. Yes, he got his first win last Thursday, but it's still a very, very disappointing start to the Premier League for Peter Wright. And a very, very difficult game on Thursday, which did see him being in a position of winning one day in the whole of the first half of the Premier League.
On this one from Jamie, I don't know how accurate they are, but I've seen some figures released. Opening night of the Premier League was 200,000, and then
week 4 it dropped to 97,000.
Yeah, I say how accurate they are, I don't know, but I've seen those numbers out in the public domain by a few different sources. Over a 50% drop since night 1 to night 4 is worrying.
I'm not sure if that night 4 is the week where it was moved to mix because of the rugby. I cannot remember.
Yeah, I don't know. But
I know it was one of the weeks. I'm not sure which week that was. But even still, to lose half your audience in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, the viewing figures were the justification to keep this how it is. the feedback from in crowd, never actually seen them conduct any, I'll be completely honest. Maybe they're monitoring social media posts and positive from people that have attended. And the viewing figures were the justification to keep the format to what they changed it to.
Yeah. It didn't work at all. The other thing, Chris Dobey, much has been made that he can't buy a win right now. However, performances are actually very good. And if you go through it, just of the quarterfinals, he's probably got one of the highest running averages, but can't buy a win.
Yeah, but
Aspinall took out some ridiculous finishes in that game, and welcome to the Premier League almost.
Let's be honest, though, that has been the story of Chris Dobey's career for the last 18 months. And when we're hearing Matt Porter say that Luke Humphries isn't ready, a win at the Masters perhaps hasn't changed that for Chris Dobey either. First week, riding on a high. Look, tough game this week against Michael Smith. Next week, he rolls into Newcastle. If he hasn't won in 7 weeks, that pressure will be massive in front of that home crowd, no matter how much they try and carry him and build him up. Because now that Peter Wright's got a win on the board as well, that longest streak without a win, all eyes will turn to Chris Dobey. Like Peter Wright, 1 win on the board now, final changes, darts, etc. He will have less attention on him because he's got that W.
Well, and to add to that, Dob, if he doesn't win this week, the chances are he's either going to play MVG if Peter Wright does and wins the week, or it's going to be Michael Smith for then. Potentially, obviously, if Michael Smith beats him, he's in a strong position to be second. So the next 2 weeks are what normally, if you look at a league table and someone's towards the bottom, it's classed as a free hit. For Chris Dobey, you sort of feel like he needs a win in one of these next 2, or he's in a position where it is just fighting for a one nightly title and not staying in that playoffs.
Well, let's be fair, he doesn't want to play Michael Van Gerwen in Newcastle.
No, be an absolute disaster right now. Which if he falls to 8th would be a possibility, which makes this result against Michael Smith even bigger. Like Peter Wright's playing Michael Van Gerwen. If Peter Wright does a job on Van Gerwen, issues.
The only positive of playing Michael of this is just the fact that you're going to be on first, and I think that isn't a bad thing when you know your timing of your preparation. That's probably the only positive that you can take about playing MVG in the Premier League is for that night you are going to be on first as the draw bracket order. That is the only positive. Other than that, you want to be avoiding him at all costs.
Yeah, look, absolutely. Look, I'm going to put the table up already. Michael Van Gerwen, we'll play the clip shortly, but Michael Van Gerwen is telling everyone he is in the playoffs. He's already going to the O2. And look, just looking at those numbers, I know we're only 6 nights in. It's hard to argue. Look at the 1, the points, and 2, the leg difference.
Ridiculous.
He's plus 28, better than anyone.
Yeah, because even if he takes 3 6-0 losses, he's still 10 legs better off than anybody else.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, he seems to have just found that form, and it's hard to predict him not picking up a night, and it's one of them similar to sort of Johnny's form last year with finals. That if you're not going to predict him to win it, you would fully expect him to be in that final. He's just in that sort of form at the moment that it will take something special, you would think, to beat him.
Yeah, look,
especially in this shorter format. Normally, we talked about an MVG back in the day. Phill Taylor of the London format is where you can't get anywhere near him, but it seems to be this short format. He's just suiting Michael at the minute.
Yeah, and look, this was our worry that someone was going to walk away with it, and Michael Van Gerwen has now won three nights in a row and lost in a final as well. This was the worry, and right now it's playing out.
Yeah, and I guess the absence of somebody, just one other to go toe-to-toe with him. Gezzy's done it a couple of times, come out on the wrong end of it. The injury seems to have come to Michael Smith at the complete wrong time, because the way that he settled into this campaign, I thought, all right, loses to Van Gerwen first week, bounced back pretty nicely week 2. I've just been expecting a bit more from Bully Boy as the world champion, but he just seems to be going through the motions, because this is a very, very long phase. Look, you can get all the work done now and build yourself up and run yourself into the ground a bit, given that Pro Tours are back and Euro Tours are back, etc. Or or you can spread it out, keep accumulating points, put the effort in for 2 or 3 weeks, knowing that you're still in contention, put yourself in finals and go on and win it, because the league phase winner in this format hasn't won for God knows how long.
Yeah, in fairness to Bully Boy this week, he almost didn't play. He got home from the UK Open and had been in bed for 3 days, not well at all. So he was amazed he even got to the final. So yeah, in fairness, he almost didn't play. Quick one before we play the clip. Wayne is fine. He's had a minor operation. We'll be back on screen shortly. But we've got 2 clips to play. We've got one from Dimitri, because they bring one of the losers in for us. We've got Dimitri this week and Michael. We'll do MVG first.
2 foot.
Dan, you're there.
Of course I'm there. Don't ask me stupid questions. Come on.
We know last year when you were guaranteed a playoff place, you switched off and you said it was hard to get motivated. Is that going to be a factor this year? Because there's no winner's bonus for winning the table.
I feel sick of it. I stay home. No, of course you wanna better record and points. You know what I mean? I love to play in front of big crowds, and that's what you have in the Premier Leagues. And I won 3 now. There was week 6.
Yeah.
Exactly. So still like 11, 12 to go. So up to the next one.
Losing, but in the long run, will that be a good...
Not like losing is a bad word. I hate losing.
Hate losing. But will that do you good in the long run? Because you don't like to feel that pain again?
Really, but it's a marathon. Everyone knows that. And you need to keep your focus going. And yeah, it's one of them things. It's going to happen a lot more to me. So you need to remain focused. That's, I think, key.
Did you see the way his body language shifted when he said there's still 11 or 12 weeks of this to go?
Yeah.
Forget the rest of it. That's bog standard for Michael. Even he is going, oh, for fuck's sake.
Language, Jack. Language.
Yeah, you could see he was like, this is only week 6. But look,
let me say the right things. And the cogs in his head are just going off, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, this is hard. And this is Dimitri. This was actually quite good from Dimitri. You spoke well.
I think tonight was one of my weakest games. I think that's the right way to say the weakest game. The only thing I can do now is bounce back stronger. I know I'm playing really well. I just had a really tough week as well behind me in the UK Open and Exeter. I've done a really good job against Chris Dobey in the first round of Exeter, and then I managed to get myself into the semi-finals of the UK Open. So it's all about hard work. Take out the positives. It wasn't meant to be tonight. I really wanted it, but hey, I'm a human being. Very simple.
I like that honest assessment from Dimitri. There was no, I was unlucky. It was one of my weakest.
Nice to hear.
Yeah.
I think we'll see more losers interviews in darts. It's one sport where we don't really get it.
Yeah. So from there, also on the Thursday, the news dropped, and it is the news that everyone has been craving. Doubles all the way in the World Cup.
About time.
Yes.
About time.
So good. And also group stages in round 1, round robin, so the teams aren't just going there for one game. An extra session the Friday afternoon. Everyone is excited by this, aren't they?
Yeah, all round, not just the doubles only. I'm a huge fan of the group stage. I just think all round the announcement is very good. More nations. I'm sure we'll hear Dob French in a minute and give his best accents on that news, but it's just all round great news. I can't wait for it.
Do you know what? Any other week, I'd be all over it, but they bash us in the rugby, so fuck them. No, do you know what? The French team absolutely deserve to be there. I like the fact Latin America is going to be a qualifier. I think that Brazil have had enough opportunities now that haven't materialised into a growth at grassroots level or participation at pro level. So it'll be interesting to see how that one plays out. Ukraine, not really sure when you've got the likes of Greece not playing. I appreciate that they have, I can't remember what the tour's called now, that includes Russia and Belarus, obviously still, are they banned? I suppose from competing as a country they are. They can play under neutral flags, so you're not about to bring in a neutral team. Wasn't that impressed by what we saw with their players at the World Championship, but the rest of it I quite like.
Yeah. Do we think that now, more than any other, that it is so important for team camaraderie? Because before, we've seen teams that have not been the best of mates. They don't dislike each other, but they wouldn't be sitting with each other on Pro Tours and got through round one because they were better than everyone else or better than what was in front of them, and then relied on winning 2 singles, where now that buffer isn't there. It is purely a team game now.
Yeah, it's huge. It's not about being pally and friends all the time. We see some of the greatest sporting teams don't want to be successful, and then you find out that some of the players don't really like each other. It's not about the light. It's about doing it for your country and getting over that line, and it's making sure whatever happens on that Sunday, you are lifting that trophy. You don't need to see eye to eye, but you need to find a way that weekend to win, and you need to find a way even more so now to win as a team, because it's not about it's not as important now about the pits around the tapting and who goes first and all that sort of stuff. We don't really see that as much in the doubles. It was more around the singles about who you're going to put first. It's going to be a lot more around making sure you are working as a team throughout that weekend. It's so important.
Will, hope you are good. Absolutely. I completely agree that now this takes a lot of thinking and a lot of working out in terms of, we see pairs where there's certain players that love tops and 10s and the other guy loves 8s and 16s.
Yeah.
This is real thought process has to go into this now.
Yeah, you could potentially see that with like I know they're not in their positions yet, but you could see it with a Michael Smith and Luke Humphries. Is an example. Smith's predominantly at 20s and 10s. Luke Humphries is predominantly bottom left of the board. It's just thinking about your opponent, and like I said, it's not about being the best of friends to win it. It's great if you are. It puts you in. It gives you an extra %. Surely it does, but it's just about making sure you are working as a team throughout.
I think the Welsh are the biggest standout for me in that regard.
Yeah.
Johnny Clayton is one of the best double 16 hitters in the world. Gerwyn Price cannot stand it and will go 20s, 10s, double 12s. Because actually, in terms of camaraderie and getting on and playing as a team and as a pair and the scoring power and the ability to dig each other out of trouble and fire in a big finish and not be overly concerned about rhythm of the game and throw in once every 4 times instead of once every 2, I'd make them massive favourites.
Yeah,
in the world rankings, I think they're pretty comfortable. You talk about teammates getting on as well. I'm not convinced that the Dutch team might be as friendly as they possibly could be. If the Scots get going, there's a chance. The resurgent Gary Anderson right now, but depends which Peter Wright turns up at the moment. It's going to be interesting.
Well, interesting one from Will here, that obviously USA and Canada, they still play tons of pairs events as well.
Yeah, I believe it does give them an advantage, but you've also got to be able to throw the darts and do the storing throughout, because one of the important parts of doubles darts is your storing, because you're standing back so far that you haven't got the rhythm, especially with certain players. You need to be used to down at the board and very quick. You talked about slow players in darts, but you don't think sometimes you're waiting for 3 players, and if you've got a slow player in that team, it can be so important. But it gives them the edge to play, but not as much as probably that camaraderie does, I think.
The only thing I'll miss from not having the singles is the player cam. Watching the other guy go through the mill. That's the only bit that I'll miss.
We'll get that, but even more, because they're on the stage with them.
They're on stage, yeah.
Yeah, we'll get that even more. Just think back to the the Aussie England final. That had it all, and there was all 4 of them were on stage then.
There's a good question here from Jamie and Will. You might be able to answer this. I don't know. Who's going to play with Jules van Dongen? And I don't mean this disrespectfully, but I actually think America would be stronger having 2 non-tour card holders. And I don't mean that horribly, but I just think that Gates and Baggish are arguably a better pair.
Both playing a lot more steel tip in this environment, not necessarily in every environment, not necessarily in the CDC, but in the UK environment.
How do they decide?
Yeah, I don't know. Is there a playoff through the CDC for it, perhaps? Or is it whoever's top of the CDC order of merit at the time of selection?
Seems like a good way to do it, and not just
the
I prefer to have X instead of Y.
But the fact that there is an affiliate tour with the PDC, that would make sense. Will's, again, it's great having Will in. Baggish's current number on the CDC order of merit. So by the look of it, it's whoever's top of the CDC order of merit will play with Jules van Dongen.
Yeah, we do talk about the partnership of Dates and Badish. However, how many times have we said that we've got people on the tour who have not got a team in the World Cup? So it's only right if we've got a tour card holder in that country.
I understand it. And it will be Jules, and I don't mean that horribly.
Yeah.
But I just think, like we said, for chemistry and everything like that, that Gates and Baggish for a doubles would arguably be a better pair.
Yeah.
Everything that goes with it. Also, there's a couple of very cynical people in here as well. I think one of them was James. Yeah, there it is. And there's another one. And those main route to the slam. It was, where is it as well? Hendy as well. Yeah, look, it is a route to the slam. Get to the final, and you're there. Look, we're going to come on to that man shortly, and yes, we are going to talk about that man in a minute. We've got a clip to play from Matt Porter as well. We'll play that one.
Is very exciting for us. To give them 2 bites of the cherry with group stages in the first round is very exciting, and also to move to an all doubles format is something that I know a lot of people have been talking about for a long time. Whether it remains, time will tell whether it proves to be exactly the right decision, but again, we're always happy to try things, and I think that the feedback and the comments that we had about this format shows that it could well be the right move for the event.
That bloody survey worked.
Hit the survey. I'm glad I filled it in with 100 different accounts.
Everyone,
I've got Gmail accounts to make up in a day.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, just on that, we talk about that most nations are locked in. Look, we know that Wright and Ando are probably there. The Welsh definitely locked, but the interesting one is the English pair. We know Michael Smith will captain England. However, there's a little battle ensuing between Rob Cross and Luke Humphreys for this final spot, and there is nothing between them.
$6,000 at the minute.
Yeah.
There's no race. We need a World Cup race in DARTS rankings, if you're listening. Bo Greaves needs to be dark green, and we need a World Cup pairs race. Top 2. For countries that have more than 2 tour card holders.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But yeah, that's an interesting little battle ensuing. I suppose the other interesting cynical thing that everyone picked up on, and I think it's that Jamie's put it there in the comments as well, and I think we said it in our chat, interestingly, that Noppert's on the poster and MVG's not. Michael didn't play last year because of the operation to his wrist. Do we think he's going to swerve it? Or
Depends on the schedule, doesn't it? I mean, we've spoken about the logistical nightmare that is the next few weeks with the Premier League, in and out of Germany and staying in Germany, and then Netherlands, Austria, back to the UK to go back to the Netherlands instead of Netherlands, UK, Austria. Potentially, if it's, he's not really had a great deal of success in this tournament since Barney stepped away.
yeah,
There's been a lot of burden for him to shoulder as team captain and the best player in the world and whatever else over that duration. And now it is all pairs as well. The impact he can have is probably lessened.
Looking at the schedule, with it being all in Germany, 15th to 18th, but before that he plays Championship 12th and 13th. Surely that means that he's more likely to play in it than not.
To stick around, potentially.
Because if you're there for the Players' Championships, you've only got a 2-day wait. A day of travelling, I don't know how far Hildesheim, Frankfurt is, but you've only got 2 days then until that World Cup starts. 3 days, I'm guessing, if they are a seed. So they won't come into play until the Friday, I'm guessing, if that's right.
I think so.
Yeah, so it's 3 days, but you are in Germany, so it's not more travelling.
Yeah,
I think he will be there, but it's certainly not people talking with him not being on the poster.
Like we said about team camaraderie, more than once he said that, and obviously Danny also accused Michael of cheating at the World Grand Prix 18 months ago as well.
Yeah, that was what I'm saying. Like, you're playing pairs now. There's no singles. There's no bail you out or anything like that. Might just go, nah, bugger it.
Yeah. That's a good question, James. I'm not quite sure when the cut-off is because it wasn't in the press release. So I will try and find out.
It suits that they've got better players in.
You would think.
Was that cynical of me?
It's only I've got a calendar up in front of me. There's a Euro Tour at the end of May, and then there's not an event until the two Players' Championships, which are the days before the World Cup.
I would assume it was that Euro Tour then.
I would assume the Euro Tour will be the cut-off at the end of May, because it then still gives you 3 weeks before the World Cup starts. That would seem to make logical sense. However, there's a reason they've probably not put that in there. Yeah,
the other one that keeps coming up in the chat room as well is, will Josh Rock play for Northern Ireland? Unlikely. He's got to make 57k up on Daryl Gurney, which is equivalent. He'd probably have to win 2 Euro Tours and a couple of Pro Tours, or 3 Euro Tours, so doable, not impossible, but unlikely.
I went looking for Brendan Dolan's name. I thought the gap was bigger, but Dolan's 30 grand ahead of.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, Gurney's the one at risk, not Dolan.
It would be Brendan Dolan.
Isn't Dolan in all but 1 Euro Tour so far? I'm sure.
Something like that as well. Yeah, Gurney's qualified for a lot as well.
5 from 6 minimum.
Yeah, so.
So yeah, look, it's going to be interesting. I'm just looking.
Because I was looking at Dirk catching Noppy, but he's 80 grand behind 77.
Liam brings a point up here as well, and I don't, because I haven't had chance to catch up properly with the Asian tour from the weekend.
Be right,
but that must be a possible. She did okay, didn't she? She got to a quarter. I saw she got to a quarter final.
Darts rankings need some.
I would be all for it. I know we've mentioned it before, in sort of different sort of format competition, similar to what the Snooter did, but from a country perspective, how good would it be if Mikura was representing Japan?
Yeah,
it would just be right. And she's playing. I don't want to say well enough without seeing the Asian tour, but like it says, looking at the results, she's certainly putting a name into the mix. If there's not in that top bracket at the moment.
Yeah.
It's not updated on the PDC Asian Tour website.
I'll tell you what,
it's firing links back and forth between the PDC Asia website. Oh, there it is.
And whilst we're on the World Cup, perfect timing. The one and only Mr. Damon Heta joins us. The
Hey.
heat is in the house.
G'day, g'day. You can hear me fine? All good?
Yeah, we've
All
got you,
good.
mate. We've got you.
Oh, happy days.
We're just talking about the World Cup, and as one half of the defending champions, how excited are you for the move to pairs only?
Oh, give the people what they want, eh?
We were talking about this, and we think it helps, and we're going to ask you, now it comes to pairs only, is team camaraderie now more important than ever before because the singles isn't there to bail teams out that may not see eye to eye?
Yeah, that's it. When you're playing doubles up there, you got to have belief in the other player, and you just have that banter, and you feel more relaxed up there. And if you can do that with someone you know, or and you're trying to do it with someone you don't know, I think you play a different game.
Obviously, it's been a whirlwind year for you, Damon, winning the World Cup with Simon, getting to go home more than anything for the World Series. But what was that like being introduced back home in Australia as the World Cup champion?
Yeah, it was massive. It wasn't even, I don't even think it was like the darts where I got introduced. I think it was just when I went home and just seeing random people at like pubs and stuff when I went out for food, and people were just like, oh, you're that dude on TV, won the darts. And I'm like, yeah, never really got that before, like back home. It wasn't, I just felt like it made darts a bit bigger in Australia. So, yeah, it was massive. What
was it like going home as well? Because we know you got stranded in the UK for 2.5 years.
That was absolutely massive. I didn't even really throw darts. Like I think every day I was out for lunch with someone, and then I was out for dinner with someone, and I just wanted to chill at home for a little bit as well. And I should have just had one big party and just got people to come see me rather than going elsewhere. And then before I knew it, I think I was home for a good 10, 11 days before the darts started again. And then the darts was just right there again. I was flat out the whole time. So I think this year, I'll take a bit more laid back approach, and I'll go home for, I think probably about the same time. I think maybe before, maybe after, I'm not too sure. I think maybe after, because the New Zealand's first and then Australia. So I think after I might stay back for like 2 weeks maybe, or even a week, I don't know, and just tell people that, come see me if you want to see me. I think traveling that many miles back home, I'm sure people can make a little bit of effort.
Indeed. I want to ask you, David, about your living arrangement here in the UK, sharing with Dirk van Duijvenbode. We've seen him speed up his pace a little bit as a player recently. Is that something you've noticed in practice?
Does it look like he's speeding up?
I was going to say, we
speeding across the back.
Oh, jeez.
I was like, you live with child.
Why I put myself through this, I don't know. Yeah. He's all right, eh? He's all right. He's one of the good guys.
You need to say now.
We'll have another chat later.
Is it cool to have that practice partner just in the room next to you, though? Like, Sam, I'm going to go put a couple of hours on the board right now and it be of a decent level.
Yeah, it's massive. Especially like when the COVID stuff was happening, when we're throwing darts and stuff, and then we had Jose stay every other week. Man, it was massive. You every time you went to the board, the other dude would come, but then when it's just me and Dimmy, we set our routines where we would have like a daytime session for just over 2 hours, and then we'd have a nighttime session just over 2 hours. So and it's pretty decent. Just like you have to be on your game all the time. So when he's here anyway, half the time he's not here. So it's been boring by myself a little bit.
Do you think having someone like Dimmy there, and as you mentioned, Jose there, had such an impact on your form last year, especially on the floor, because your floor form was just ridiculous throughout the year, and currently I think second in the rankings of the Euro Tour, just shows how well you performed last year. Do you think that really had an impact on that, having Dimmy and Jose around?
Yeah, I think so. I think it helped all three of us just to have that consistency. I think it was real top notch, because if you can just do it here, you sort of just relaxed everywhere else, because it's just going to happen for you, I guess. you're not going to get that. You're not going to get that a lot unless you make the effort with the other players, and if they're up for it. Where, a lot of people just like to practice on their own, and I don't know too many that like practicing every time, every week, and so that's pretty much why we made the move to be together, and so we can focus on the darts and keep that high level intensity going all the time. And if you can do it here, it just becomes adaptable, and you just know what to expect when you go up there. It's the same level all the time.
On being in the UK, I remember we spoke, Damon, when you first come over, and your plan was very clear. It was get in, make your money, set yourself up back in Australia, and go home. The fact that you've taken to life so well as a pro, has that maybe changed a little bit of thinking of, can you combine the two lifestyles? Maybe spending 3 or 4 months in Australia and 9 in the UK to play. Is that something that's changed?
I think like an end goal. I don't know. I think if I'd just be here for say 7 to 10 up in the top, at least the top 24, because I think that's decent enough money where it's make it worthwhile. Because you go a lot less than that, say 32 and below. I don't know if that's really cuts the mustard of. I could just work for a living and sort of make the same money. You know what I mean? So I'll be missing out on family and friends. So I think an end term goal would be say at I don't know 7-10 years, and I've done everything I needed to do. So top 10, top 4, and I've been like Premier League a couple times or something like that. Maybe do like a Gary Anderson or a thing and just come back and play majors or something if I'm still up in the rankings, and then just slowly fade away, or if need be. But I just know after that time, it's not just me that I'm sacrificing my time. It's mostly my wife as well. So yeah, I'm pretty sure she'll get sick of it quite then. So,
how big is having Megan there for you? Obviously, I spent a lot of time with Kyle, who made a very similar step to you before, and Tara and Charles and the family opted to go home at a time through that journey, and that became quite difficult for Kyle at times. But how massive is that having Megan there for you instead?
Yeah, I wouldn't be here if she wasn't here. Put it that way. It's too much. She went home for like 3 or 4 weeks or something, and I go and win a World Cup when she's not here. Well done. Like, it didn't mean to happen that way, but it happened. Yeah, but no, I don't think I could, mate. It's absolute. It's an absolute must. You can't have that on the back. You're not going to be 100%, and she does it all for me. So happy days.
Everyone's waiting now for Megan to go back to Australia for that 1 week, and everyone's going to be backing Damon to win that tournament.
Oh no!
Set the expectation there by just winning the World Cup.
Yeah, no, I don't even think it's that. Like I think the last what did we play last? Wait a minute, I've played 3. Yeah, so I've played, and we've done quite well, to be honest. Like the only people we've lost to is Wales, or that's who I've lost to is Wales. So as long as we don't run into them until the end, then we're good to go.
You've been in and around the top 16 for the last year. What's the next step, and what do you feel you've got to do to then break that mold and go from 16 to 10 and beyond? Yeah,
like my next goal is 10 by the end of the year. I've got ranking wise, I've got a lot to gain, and I feel I could comfortably do it. But obviously, it's just not been the greatest start to the year, that's for sure. But I know, like, it's only the start of the year, so all the good stuff is towards the back end, and maybe that's when I'll turn up. Then I'll start hitting the big stuff. The thing is that's the biggest bonus with myself at the moment is the big stuff. I'm defending nothing. I'm gonna be in the tournaments. So as long as I win, 1 game, 2 games, 3 games, I've got a massive gain. So I think it's very achievable, and I always put the work in and all that. So just need to tinker with a few things, and things will happen for me, I think.
You're not going to do a full Peter Wright?
Oh, no, not that ridiculous now. I don't think I can do that. Jeez. I'm playing all right with the things I've got at the moment, so I'll just stick with them.
I'll say, what's your mentality approaching the TV events this year? Obviously, a lot of the talk last year was about the difference in perhaps form or performances compared to floor and TV for yourself? Was that something you were consciously aware of, and does that change how you approach this year?
Oh, I think it was just, I think I had some bad, I wouldn't say bad draws, but like I played well in a few things and it just didn't happen for me. But I knew I played well and then when I didn't play well, it obviously goes out the window. But I know that it's all there and that, and I've worked on like the first Euro tour. I treated that like how to approach my TV game a bit better, you could say. But I put a lot of down to it. Like my wife keeps telling me, it's always down to my attitude and persona on stage. I've got to be, when I won things. So I won, like when I won the Gibraltar, when I won the World Cup and that, watching them back and then watching other TVs where I've lost first round and watching that, I'm two different people. I'm either fully committed, focused, all tunnel vision, and I'm trying too hard and darts are crap. But then when I'm just relaxed, I'm happy, I'm having a joke, and it feels like I'm not concentrated and things are happening. It's so I need to be more upbeat and just be more myself, you could say, but not to get focused on every dart is a must and every dart needs to go in, and it brings myself down. So I just need to loosen up, throw with a bit more of a rhythm, let the darts do the talking, so to say.
Got some listener questions for you, mate, as well. What's Damon's favourite tournament to play in and why?
Oh, I think it's the World Series. Get to go home in front of my home crowd and not get booed a couple of times.
The reigning World Cup champion has not said the World Cup. Disappointed, Damon. Disappointed.
No,
it's always
say that if they were seeded in the top four.
What three things do you miss most about Australia?
Oh, just the least amount of people there. Where here is just busy as crazy. Back home's just laid back. You can go to the shop and it's not a rush around there. I think the food tastes a bit different as well. I don't know, more, I would say fresh, but yeah, I just think the food's really good back home. And I don't know, probably just my family and friends, just being with all them.
What does a typical practice session between you and Dimmy look like?
Yeah, we're pretty focused, eh? We work on our own game, and we always, when it's against each other, we always want to beat each other. We take it a bit serious, and when we do a lot of checkout games, mostly work on our doubles, not so much scoring, and then in the nighttime session, that's when we'll play the games, 501 cricket and stuff like that. And it's serious business. So yeah, and that's how we treat it.
When you won your tour card, have you exceeded your expectations?
Yeah, 100%. Especially when the goal was for 2 years, just make the 64. That seemed like the big deal. But once I did it, it just felt like I set the bar too low, because I could bring so much more and needed to be where I need to be for me to stay here. You know what I mean? Like I said, I need to be that top 32 plus, that's where I want to be. You know what I mean? I could live comfortably. You probably could live comfortably 64 and above, but I'm not here for comfortable. I'm here to do some business and get some wins on the belt and piss off early.
Damo, we saw you post being at Old Trafford a couple of weeks back. So a question for you. English football or Australian football?
Oh, the thing is about the English football is when you're here, it's all everyone talks about. You go to the pub, it's anyone talks. So I've had to I didn't even know anything about English football until I came here. I never really watched it, nothing. So I had to get involved and know the players, and the easiest way to do that was to get on the fantasy football league. I'm on there, I'm doing all right. So and then you get talking and you know the players a bit better and all that. Yeah. So but straight up, I like Aussie rules compared to English football.
That's how I learned the NFL, to be fair, fantasy.
This is an interesting one from a technical
Isn't it,
point of view, and there may not be an answer to it. But Johnny says, why do many Australian players use a front-weighted dart? Obviously, yours are quite front-ended. Whitlock, Carl used to, even Corin. Is there any particular reason?
That's weird. That's a bit out there. I think someone's reading it.
But it's something that's been picked up on.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. I think I haven't always had it. I think I started with a straight barrel, and then I just slowly progressed into having something a little bit front loaded. Weird.
There's always one. Is Bazball going to win the Ashes?
You know what's happening. You know what's happening. Oh, I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. I got tickets to, I think it was the first day at Headingley.
Nice.
Yeah, so looking forward
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think Smithy's playing for Sussex for about 3 games. But I've got to see when and where and see if I could just go and have a watch. Yeah.
Only the English would let Australians' best batsmen come and warm up in the country.
Harness is over as well. So, what those two really need is more time in the middle.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, could you imagine Ben Stokes asking one of the Aussie teams, "Can I come over for 3 weeks and have a knock?"
Off to play for Victoria.
New Zealand would let Stokesy in.
Do you miss Australian sport in general as well? Is that one of the big things you miss as well? Because you seem to like most sports.
Yeah, so before I took the darts serious in the 18, just after I was playing outdoor cricket, just like in D grade. And the only reason I played that was like, man, I'm starting, I was getting like 30, and I'm like, yeah, if I got to play sports and I wanted to go back, like have a season of rugby or something just to see how it would go. But then, you get an injury, then you're out for 6 months or something. Your bones take a little bit longer to heal. So, but no, I enjoy playing all sports. I grew up playing sports every Saturday, Sunday, training 3 nights a week, and I love it, mate. I love all the sports, and yeah.
Is there a little 7-a-side between you, Gezi, and Johnny sorted then?
Oh, it'd be massive, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Last one from us, because you've been absolutely superb, Damon. One from Craig says, if the PDC did a mixed doubles competition, who would your choice be to play with?
Oh, well, at the moment, performance-wise, I think Bo Greaves, and I'd let her just go first, and I'll throw left-handed. She's cooking, isn't she? Oh, my days.
Yeah, absolutely. Damon, absolute pleasure to have you on the live lounge, mate. Thank you very much for taking time out your evening to jump on as always. We massively appreciate it.
Massive. Cheers, appreciate it.
Cheers, Damon. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Damon, the one, the only, Mr. Damon Heta. What a ledge. He was a great guest.
Perfect timing with the World Cup news. Perfect timing. And it's good to see. I know we mentioned it's what the fans want with the news, but it seems to be that the players, especially Damon, are taking it on board, that it's what everyone wants to see. So they're involved in the World Cup. Does it will win more for me or win more viewers?
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, when I said it's my favourite event, I got laughed out of the room. It's very, very close to. It's moving up in people's estimation at the minute, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got the bite back from him because I said it was one of my least favourite, and it's automatically moved to one of my favourites. That's just based on looking forward to seeing what we see on a Thursday night to actually what we're going to now see throughout the whole tournament. Yes, we'd see the odd game on the Saturday afternoon and maybe the Sunday afternoon, but it tended to be it. Now we're going to see that throughout. I know what we're going to move on to next, so I'm trying to talk about the World Cup for as long as possible because I'm being really positive.
Funny you should mention that.
I don't know what's coming next.
This dropped. Look, I think most people, if we're being honest, were expecting this, but not to drop in the manner that it did. Would that be a fair assumption that late last week we just saw years of sporting or darting history just thrown onto an online auction site? The World Masters trophies, the BDO men's and women's. I've only just screenshotted this one, obviously, but you have the Gold Cup singles, the Gold Cup pairs. Just years and years of history just almost cast aside, it feels.
Yeah. Look, not cast aside, I guess. We sort of all knew this was coming. Look, if you're on Company's House, you can see that BDO Limited or Enterprises or whichever one of those companies owe an awful lot of money. The other one is defunct, basically. Only one of the trophies has significant bidding on it. The World Championship trophy is currently over £17,000, plus you'll have to pay 19.2% tax and everything else on top of that. Everything else, I think there's one for a couple of thousand. The rest are around 1,500 at most. Some are still at their starting bidding price. It's an incredibly sad time for the sport. The thing I guess I'm most disappointed at is that the people that took the BDO to that ending just didn't say anything. There's not an awful lot they can do. Once it's in the hand of what they call it, administrators, it's inevitable that it just has to go up for auction, right? But there was no warning to darts fans for people that allegedly cared about the sport for so long and did their best for the sport and are darts fans and blah blah blah, to not have given any sort of heads up or preparation or any sort of measured effort to go, right, unfortunately this is what's going to happen, it's out of our hands. However, we feel that these trophies do have a rightful place somewhere, and we can coordinate an effort so that the costs of that are taken back to match whatever's owed, and these trophies end up in the rightful places. And there was none of it, not even an acknowledgement. There was a post on Facebook saying that they didn't care about the abuse they were getting or the hate that they were suddenly getting again because they don't go on social media, which was strange because it was posted on social media. And then there was a rant a week later about how long Paula had to wait for a final at an open event after his name was wrongly put in the hat or something, which I'm not sure if that bit's true, but that's inevitable at open events when whether that's scheduling or whatever else. It's just a sad state of affairs right now.
Yeah, and look, I completely agree that we all knew this was coming. And being in Liverpool last week, there was a couple of journalists that write for national newspapers. They contacted the auction site and the liquidators. There is around 70 creditors that the newspapers were told. They weren't given a list of who they were, but there's around 70 creditors that are owed money by the BDO.
It shouldn't have ever got to that stage. We talked about, we've spoke positive and negative about every organisation. We've been said quite a lot of negative, I'd say, recently about the WDF. We haven't staged about the PDC. However, this just takes it all to a new level completely. This is just off the stars. This is history of however many years we're going back. Before I was even born, some of these trophies were being played for. It means so much to so many people. We could easily go back and, I can't remember what episode it was, listen to John O'Shea being on the show and how much it meant to him, who was a current champion. But you've seen the reaction of people like Glenn Durrant just going on social media and how disappointed they are. I know Nito put on about it as well. There's so many players, and not even players who lifted it, players who dreamt about lifting that trophy, now it can be purchased by anyone who's not the right money to purchase it. It's just abysmal, absolutely abysmal that it's got to this stage. It's appalling. There's so many words you could use. I'm not going to swear. I'll leave all that to Jack to do, especially tonight. But I easily could, because when I seen it, I wanted to go and rant everywhere about it. But it is what it is, and it really shouldn't be. And they have absolute no right to moan about anything else that happens in the dart world. The pair have absolutely no right because of what they've done to or for all them trophies. The museum idea, everyone would love to see, but it's just sad it came to this.
I just think, like we say, we knew it was coming, but just something going out prior. Look, everyone, or darts work, darts family, darts community, whatever you want to call it. That look, these are going to have to be sold to pay creditors. However, there is an opportunity before it goes that far to do it and recover the cost before it just went for anyone.
Yeah.
What was the WDF contacted to purchase in for their World Championship? Was World Seniors contacted? Was any of these contacted around purchasing these before it got to this stage? So there could still be tournaments in place where you could go on and win. Let's be honest. I know we've all had a little dig at what the WDF World Championship title looks like. How nice would it be to have seen the old World Championship be lifted then by a? But it's just the fact we're not going to see it.
Yeah, and look, there's nothing can be done now. It is what it is. They're there. Someone is going to purchase them. I just hope they end up loved and where they should be, not just someone buying them to then try and sell them on to make a quick buck.
Yeah, agree. We're all sat with we've all got memorabilia, we've all got certain things signed. Me personally, I would hate to have the World Championship sat in my room because it shouldn't be here. It should be either with a World Championship or in a museum or used at exhibitions or something for photos for fans to enjoy. It shouldn't be the case that an individual can now go and buy a World Championship.
Yeah.
The thing that's confusing me is there's 70 creditors owed. The last time they submitted their accounts was May 2022. That only showed £1,100 turning due in the next year.
Interesting. I'm just going off what the obviously the journalists had contacted the administrators, liquidators, and that's the information that they were told.
That's creditors. Debtors, 28 grand.
Yeah, 28 grand's worth of debt that obviously has to be satisfied.
They ran at a deficit for £21,000 between 2021 and 2022.
Yeah. Yeah.
How?
Johnny, we all do because he puts it on social media. I know where the original BDO Trophy is as well.
It's not a game of where's fucking Wally.
No, because he sat in the top corner. Hey!
That's you.
No, you with that silly hat on.
It was you.
It's one of you two anyway, so I'm fine in this argument.
Your sick note.
So then?
Your sick note.
Go on, man.
Right. From there, we are going to go to the Pro Tour. So make sure you've got Darts Connect up. Pro Tour weekend, as always. First of all, I love the Pro Tour. There's some great darts.
Oh, all right, fun. Sound, yeah, cool. It's fun, isn't it?
However,
just one to play darts.
Saturday, he may not have won it. And congratulations to Ross Smith. However, it's all about one man. And he went on to qualify for a Euro Tour for the first time in, 7 years? We've had so many false storms. And we kept saying it about Michael Van Gerwen when he was going through his slump. We kept using a certain gif. Is it official? Gob, is this man back?
No, not yet. Not yet. Not quite. Look, signs are very, very good, and this is far more sustained than before. But at any moment, Gary could just go, nah, fuck it, I'm out. Because he still could. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And I just need that little bit more sustain. Look, he had an opportunity to beat Ross Smith in that final. All right, first time he's probably played that many legs in a day for a long, long time. I think he was pretty nicely set when he went out on the Sunday. Who did he lose to in the end? 6-4 to Ryan Searle.
Yeah.
Had chances. Then I look at the Euro Tour, 4-2 up on Barney today in a qualification match. Peg back to 5-4.
Takes out
1-6-7, then gets nowhere near him in the deciding leg. Then he has chances to beat Devon Peterson for 2 legs on the spin and has to use a last leg decider who, with all due respect, is not in great form. Admittedly, that might be an edgy moment. Gary hasn't been for a qualifier for a long, long time. Pro Tours and all right, there's another one next time. Don't make a massive amount of difference in his ranking, but qualifiers do because it means you've actually got to get up and go somewhere else or you're in another tournament. So there might be those few little nerves, but it wasn't the most convincing at times there either. The fact he's battling through games that he otherwise would have lost last year, good sign. Is he back? Oh, I'm still... I don't want to get my heart broken. I do not want to get my heart broken.
I think if we'd have seen this run to a final on TV, I think it'd be a different conversation. It's not about him winning one. I think if he'd have had that run on TV, I'd be more of a yes. But and I hate to say it, I'm with negative Dob on this one, that not quite yet.
I'm not. I'm fully behind the Gary back. I just think there's enough signs that, one, he cares more than anything. That's the biggest one for me, because natural ability, we've seen him get to world finals not giving a shit. But the fact he cares and he's getting the ump, and the 112 average against Keegan Brand was just majestic. That was vintage.
There were times when he played darts from a completely different planet, but the last time Gary was at this level of determination and this kind of level, darts was a different sport. 5 years ago was a long time in this sport. There was nowhere near the level of depth at the top of the game.
No, I agree that.
Gary rocked up and played like he has this weekend. He would have won both tournaments back to back and he would have qualified for both Euro Tours comfortably 5 years ago, because that's just the way that darts was. But it's sustained, it's more difficult. There are just relentless pressures, and having that ranking pressure on him as well, I guess, because he does want to go and win that slam and complete the set. Massive.
He's put himself right back in the match play race as well,
which would be good. But then part of the reason why I'm not going, he's back, is because we've seen this with Adrian Lewis a couple of times, and we've seen this with a couple of other players, Daryl Gurney, etc. Right, made 5 Euro Tours out of 6, potentially 6 out of 6. I'm not sure I got on in the final one or anything like that. But all right, you're in. You draw Michael van Gerwen in first round. What's the point?
I don't know if I would say how Gary Anderson's playing at the moment, MVG would be more of a, I don't want them as one of the seeds. If Ando made it into that top 16, he's the man to fear in that top 16 with one-seeded players.
Yeah, but there is still that nature of the fact that he's going into everything unseeded, and it doesn't matter how well Gary's playing right now. The world and sport seems to conspire against people that are making comebacks in darts. We've seen it often enough, and being unseeded means you're just going to run into tough stuff, and he's going to have to go an extra level in a tour and an era of darts that is that much more competitive than the last time he was ready to go that extra mile. And sometimes he's going to do absolutely nothing wrong and lose. And when you want it more than anything else, which he seems to do right now, that's tough to take.
The other one, though, is mentally, if Gary gets himself in that Pro Tour top 16 order of merit, anyone on the other side in that top 16 in the world, they will all be going, I don't care who they are, shit, I do not want Gary Anderson round one at the match play.
If he continues playing like this, by the way, if he just coasts into the match play, then no.
I don't think he does.
There's still a long time between now and the match play.
Oh, there is, and I think he's going to get better.
The only way I would
6 Euro Tours.
The only way I would be concerned is if he goes on and wins a Pro Tour, say, this weekend, and then doesn't do anything else for the rest of it until Blackpool and qualifies then. But I don't see that at the minute. It's hard not to see that, because there can't be that much fight in him at the moment and not have that big one coming up. He's going to see the World Cup as an opportunity. Yes, it's a doubles if he plays. I'm assuming he will be this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, assuming with the attitude he's got at the moment, he will be playing. especially as he'll already be in Germany. I just feel like, especially with the lack of TV tournaments and the lack of Euro tours, let's be honest, he's qualified for one, but it's still quite a distance away. That fight around that World Cup and World Match Play time, I think we'll be seeing in a better version of what we're seeing now, or a more consistent version, I should say, of what we're seeing now, which is dangerous for the rest of the field.
Yeah. Let's be honest. How Gary Anderson would it be for him to go and rock up and win that Euro Tour? Or at least make the final day?
I don't think anyone would begrudge it. I don't think anybody would hate to see it, but he might well need to in that match play race because he's given up 5 more opportunities on that Euro Tour before he gets to pick up a dart there, which in the race for the match play is going to be massive. He might be there or thereabouts in that battle and in that contention, but that could be 10, 12 grand gap again, just through the Euro Tour, which he's got to make up in Pro Tours alone before he gets his one shot at Euro Tour. Not likely, but it is possible.
The fact that he's also entered the Germany Pro Tours is another big statement for me as well.
It's the realisation that he has to at the moment. There's no guarantees. Yes.
I don't think it's not a case of he has to.
You don't know. It's not he has to for him because we know the reality, but he wants to be in the match play. He knows right now he has to be in Germany if he wants to be in the match play because there's no guarantees he'll have a great run at the Euro Tour. There's no guarantees he'll go up and because you can have awful draws at the Pro Tour and be done early on. Yes, he's playing well enough that you'd think he would get through some of those. But I think right now the mentality is he has to enter in those to make sure around that time that he's in a strong enough position. Because if he's in all of them, if he was entered in all of them right now, you would say that Gary Anderson's a shoo-in to qualify. It's the fact that he's missing. Is it the first 4 and then the 6th one? Or is it the first 5 and then he's in the 6th one? That's the difference.
Morgan, I've started your question. We will come back to that one because that's a good one. So, going back to the actual Pro Tour.
That?
What's that?
Just when can you do that?
In StreamYard.
Oh, sick.
Just as you're wearing your cap backwards, you can't start throwing out words like sick. It doesn't make you look like
and everything, bro.
I'm going to star James's as well because it goes hand in hand. But yeah, look, Ross Smith. Some super stuff. On the Sunday was all about one man because Dirk van Duijvenbode literally blitzed his way through the field and the Aubergenius was sensational, boys.
Yeah.
Did we actually talk about Saturday there? Or did you just talk about Gary for 10 minutes?
Just Gary.
Because Chris Landman was exceptional. Martin Timber was superb and is turning into a very, very competitive dart player. Easily, in my opinion, currently Germany's number 1.
Yeah.
Despite that World Championship semi-final from Clemens. And Barney looked brilliant right up until the moment where he didn't, and he was horrific.
And linking into Sunday, Dirk van Duijvenbode was very, very impressive on Saturday up until the quarter-final. Similar to Barney, not the same drop-off, but Dirk was so good on Saturday until moving on Sunday with the quarter-final and final. Similar to what Jamie said there, I know we've not spoken much about Ross Smith. Ross Smith done the flip of that, very, very impressive on Sunday with a quarter-final run. However, went on and picked up the title against Gary Anderson, who we've spoke about for 10 minutes, or Phill spoke about for 10 minutes. But yeah, very, very impressive from Ross on Saturday. And
also,
leading Dirt into Sunday.
Premier League players on the way.
Well, his interview was actually quite funny, wasn't it? That made a point of referencing beat a load of Premier League players.
Yeah.
Not that I'm...
And Dawson was like, enjoy match of the day tonight.
He was a little bit salty, wasn't he?
Funny though. Now we can talk about Sunday.
Yeah, look, Dirk, just ton plus averages for fun, big finishes for fun, and 180s for fun as well. I know on the stream we spoke about this. I think he's going to go close to a major this year.
into 2 finals before.
Yeah, World Grand Prix and World Series.
Yeah. I'm starting to agree with you. Those final 4 games in a row were superb. To take out Ian White 6-0, who is finding some fantastic form himself, by the way.
Yeah,
absolutely nowhere.
Fortunate to watch a couple of his games at the UK Open, and he looked very impressive. The throw looked better than what it's been recently. So, no real surprise to see his 2 decent runs on Saturday, Sunday, and then followed by Monday, obviously qualifying for both. So, very impressive win that.
And then I also think to beat Van Gerwen in the quarterfinals was possibly more impressive than the semi or the final. To dispatch him 6-2 in an opponent that he typically tends to have a little bit of a hoodoo against.
And he took out 2 huge ton-plus finishes on there as well. I think, someone will correct me.
1-4-6, 1-5-2.
Was it, I'll say, the 1-4-6 when Mike had missed 4 darts to win the leg?
Something like that.
Yeah. Was just sensational. Also, good to see Graham Usher get into the last 16.
Yeah,
all the players that lost in the last 16 on Sunday, it's quite refreshing to see them there. Chris Lamman was superb both days for a player that doesn't have his tour card. Usher's solid. Richard Veenstra has settled into Pro Tour life as if it's a walk in the park. He's so laid back, it's brilliant. Ian White, solid. Van der Voort is showing glimpses at the moment. Matt Campbell, a welcome run for him. Jacques Labre having not won a game in the PDC as a tour card holder since up until this moment, went all the way to the last 16. And Jermaine Watamaina, we're starting to see a few more positive results for him alongside Jeffrey Desvan. It does feel very 2018 right now. Gary Anderson's looking back. Jermaine Watamaina and Jeffrey Desvan are on the up. You've got youngsters flying in and all sorts.
Yeah, interesting.
Winning everything he wants.
Interesting stat there from Carl. Dirk played 37 matches this year. He's averaged higher than his opponent in 34 of them.
Is he on top of his game right now? Is he?
Solid. Which, by contrast, Joe Cullen was winning games without being top of his average last year. But Dirk's just gone a level above that right now.
Yeah, we noticed as well on the stream, because he did play on the stream game, that Ian White has gone back to the old equipment as well. We'd seen him play recently with his new dart that had that very nice diamond pattern and etching all over it. But this weekend, it was back to the old ones, the very boring-looking ones, the straight dart with a few blue rings in.
He just looks so much more comfortable at the minute. Like I said, UK Open is great for being able to see him up close and the throw, and seeing Ian White, he'd look very, very impressive. The levels he reached a few years back, especially on the floor, was so good. I'm not saying, then I don't want to say someone's back to that sort of level, but there's certainly huge signs. And this weekend, with the amount of wins he got under his belt, last 32, I think, on both days, and then the success he's had today puts him in a great light. It'll be interesting to see more and more qualifying for Euro Tours and on TV, because that's always been where his struggle's been.
Yeah. So then, moving on to the 2 Euro Tour qualifiers, ETs 5 and 6. Qualifiers for ET5 in Graz. William O'Connor, Ian White, Cameron Menzies, Jim Williams, Mike Kyvenhoven, Bradley Brooks, Ricky Evans, Daryl Gurney, Owen Roloff, Simon Whitlock, qualifying for Euro Tours all over the place at the moment. Madders Razmar, Dylan Sledden, Ricardo Petresco, Nick Kenny. Interesting that Kenny didn't play the Pro Tour at the weekend, but played the Euro Tour qualifiers. Christoph Ratajski, Jeffrey Deswan, Chris Dobey, Matt Campbell, Kim Hybrex, Ryan Meikle, Luke Woodhouse, Raymond Van Barneveld, Brennan Dolan, and Mickey Mansell. Which was interesting. And then ET6 in the Netherlands.
James Wade averaged 104, by the way, and lost a qualifying game. 104. Dylan
Sledden doing the double. Adam Smith-Neal. Stephen Bunting, Martin Lukeman, Dimitri van den Berg. He's qualified averaging 78. Jim Williams doing the double. Gabriel Clement, Steve Beaton, Ross Smith, Daryl Gurney, Madas Razma, Ian White, Alan Suter, Ricardo Petresco doing the double. Christoph Ratajski, Graham Hall, Adam Gaulas, the Mad Monk is going to a Euro Tour. Kim Hybrecht, Jean Van Veen, Gary Anderson, Keane Barry, John O'Shea, and George Killington. Very good weekend for Jean Van Veen, and we saw this on the Super Series, and he's taken it across into the pro game.
He looked mustard, and I tell you what, he took apart some big names this weekend as well.
Yeah.
I mean, just no fear at all. His scoring power was exceptional at times. He seems to be getting even better, which is strange. Well, not strange.
Well, no scar tissue either.
Yeah,
there's no damage.
Yeah, absolutely fearless.
Is the thing with that one. Right, that time again. I know it's boring, but we'll talk about it as always.
All right, Michael. Sound like MVG.
We're off to Nottingham, the Motor Point Arena.
Are you, Dob?
Speaking of, you coming to buy me lunch or what?
Did I buy you lunch last year?
Yeah.
Exactly.
He didn't buy me any in Birmingham.
Is it 3 days away and I haven't heard anything yet? Yeah.
I'll be there. Don't worry. To be fair, we don't plan stuff. Christ.
Same place. Unbelievable burger.
That was decent, to be fair. I'll give you that one.
Top drawer.
I'll give you that one indeed. Dimitri van den Berg against Nathan Aspinall. The World Cup winning teammates collide. Johnny Clayton and Gerwin Price. Peter Wright and Michael Van Gerwen. Chris Dobey and Michael Smith. First one. Where are we going, boys? Chat room, get involved as well.
I can't remember what I said Thursday, but I didn't do Thursday, did I? So I wouldn't have said anything Thursday. Even better. I would have been swaying towards Dimitri van den Berg, I think, at the moment. But given his Pro Tour averages this weekend, little bit concerned. A few in the 80s. So I'm going Nathan Aspinall.
Dimmy for me.
I am going Nathan Aspinall in a last leg decider.
Dimmy lost 6-1 with a 74.9 average earlier.
Cheers for that. Dimmy. I'm going to that message on Thursday now when he loses with a very similar average.
World Cup winning teammates. What we saying?
Hard one, this. Johnny. Just.
Job.
Big test for Johnny, but I am going to back him. This is the week. Gradual improvements every week from the last three. This is another one.
I'm going to go in Price, but I've got a point to bring up in a week of darts. Wright against Van Gerwen.
Talking about a test. You win your first game with them horrible darts. And then you've got MVG possibly twice in 2 weeks. MVG.
There is how many? Van Gerwen for me.
Oh dear.
It never seems to pan out that way. When someone should demolish someone, it tends to then be like it still tends to get the win, but it's more of a 6-4 as it turns into a bit of a slog, and we don't see that level from MVG. I think MVG that's out of the line, but I just don't think it's as comfortable as form suggests. Which can happen in all sports.
I think a lot depends on Michael Smith's week, because again, he wasn't great at the Pro Tour, and the fact he'd been ill, I was quite surprised he played.
I'm struggling to see the Dobey getting over the line.
I'm going Dobey gets his first points.
Since week 1.
Yeah.
Now I'm going Smith.
You know, we do have the potential, if results go the way, that next week's quarterfinals are exactly the same as this week's quarterfinals.
Could you imagine?
Because 1 plays 8 already, and 2 plays 7, and then 3, 4, 5, and 6 all play each other. And if results go a certain way, they could all play each other then.
Yay! That's what I love about this format. Just how often we see these guys going toe to toe with each other.
That has got to be the worst outcome for the PDC if that was to happen.
Yeah, that'd be horrific.
No, I want it to happen now. I'm sat here. They're the results.
Yeah,
Whatever we need
happen.
that to happen, I'm predicting. That's where I'm going. Bring it on. Week 8, absolute carnage.
Michael Smith to beat Twist Dobey.
And watch Webby stand awkwardly in the middle of Newcastle going, we saw this last week.
Oh. So, I want your winner and runner-up in Nottingham.
Dobby's now trying to work out what outcomes needed for the following week to happen.
I'm guessing it involves a Michael Van Gerwen win.
For that to happen, yeah.
No, Michael Smith win, really.
Yeah,
obviously
Van Gerwen's 8 points clear with a maximum 5 to pick up.
Yeah.
So. You know what? The fact he gets an extra break, I'm going Clayton beats Van Gerwen this week. I think Lee was doing the same and he doesn't want to go the same as me.
Yeah.
I heard that.
Exactly. I literally.
What have you done to me?
I have to. I'm sure you see me look to the other side of the screen because when I'm doing my quarterfinals, I have to type them down. My memory's that bad. I forget who I've ever had. So I think when I get to the final, I need to see them here. And then I've literally done. I thought, yeah, that's the way I'm doing it. I'm gonna switch it. I'm not following you. We're not being on the same team at the moment, Dob. So I'm gonna switch it round. I'm gonna go MVG beats Johnny.
I'm going Price beats Van Gerwen.
So we all have MVG in the final once more.
Yeah, it's just the mix around at the top. Yeah, I'm going Price beats Van Gerwen in the final. Right, a point for a week in darts here, because obviously it follows on from what we've just spoken about Premier League and there. Gezi deciding to swerve the qualifiers and miss the potential of being in 2 Euro tours.
Unexpected. Considering how much talk was around him needing to play and win one of those Euro tours to stay as a seed and everything else, to enter and then not play was quite surprising.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't see it. I didn't see that coming.
Does the sort of distractions away from darts mean that having a couple of weekends off where you've not got to pull out yourself, there's not a tournament that you're already in, you're not in a pro tour, you're not in a certain event and you've got to go, I'm going to step away from that, potentially a World Series or any of those, you don't have to have made that decision. That decision's already been made for you. Make it a little easier for him to just say, yeah, not for me, 2 weekends off. I'm not missing anything I've already qualified for. Surely that's better as well from when we see a reserve coming in and all them changes.
Is this an issue, though?
Why?
Because of all the things that you could sacrifice, the Euro Tour has significant prize money waiting.
It does, but the position of him currently is that such a concern for Desi?
I guess not. But if his ambitions are returning to world number 1, he is making it that much more difficult for himself to do that. Obviously, if he gets there by virtue of the big tournaments, then you're defending less to go and have a crack in a couple of years' time. But I guess, isn't there 10 Euro tours in the space of the 17 weeks of the Premier League as well?
9, I think. 9 in the 17 weeks, I think it was.
That's a lot of travel that just isn't being taken into account, because the minute that they're done, or a lot of that is done, they're then, right, you're off to Australia, New York, back in for the match play, should be Ireland, dragging them to Wolverhampton, the poor sods, back down to Minehead at some point.
Look, I suppose James up there. He's gambled that he has a good good couple of Euro tours coming up and gets back in the 16 that way.
It's not like he's not someone who lacks confidence to go into that with that mindset.
I know he's backing him. He's backing himself.
He's backing
even
himself.
If he's having 5 and 6 off.
Yeah, he's backing himself, winning one, plonking
7 and 8 next week as well.
Yes.
Whilst they're in Germany, so he's backing himself to be back in the top 16 by winning events 2, 3, and 4. But he then won't return till event 9 anyway.
Or he's on that Pro Tour list to be in Germany. If he's there, then surely he stays and does the qualifier.
You'd expect so. But haven't they then got to come back to the UK for Premier League to then go back to Germany and then stay in Germany? Or is that the week after?
No, that's right. Germany, Pro Tour.
Germany until Monday.
Newcastle.
Yeah.
Then Leverkusen.
Berlin.
Yeah.
Not
Riesa.
Germany. Riesa, yeah.
I personally don't think it's the worst decision for someone who, a month, 2 months ago, was worried that he might walk away from the sport. If he's then going to have a couple of weeks off of events that he's not qualified for and he's not dropping out of them, I don't think it's the worst news. Could be a very clever move if he can find some sort of form. Or
he could. I guess there are only
some sort of form probably
are
because he had the Pro Tour, but on stage, we know we're not seeing it in the Premier League.
Interesting. Mike Warburton wins the Super Series week 5, beating Conor Heenahan in the final. Conor almost treated us to another 9-darter. That means he's hit gangster.
No, just saying, I've backed 2 winners in 2 weeks.
Sick.
He's loving this, isn't he?
Phil, you're nearly 50, mate. What are we doing now? Your bones will break. I'm concerned for you, mate. Arthritis will kick in.
You get me, blood.
Don't ever say that again. Ever.
Don't know I've got a gangster cap.
Not even for my sake, for yours. I'm looking out for you there. So just don't do that.
I used to love Arsenal fan TV for that. When they lost, it was my favourite thing ever. Isle of Man. I didn't see a lot of it because obviously we were streaming
Thank you. It's 2023.
We were streaming the Pro Tour and it wasn't on Dart Connect.
Yeah, same. Didn't see any of it whatsoever other than results. Few Warton videos I saw on social media.
That was just Martin Turner and his fan club.
Yeah, I did see another one. I can't remember who else's it was. I did see a second one. Unless it was just his on repeat. Because he had
it was just multiple of his.
yeah, just a different handle.
Bo won all 3 on the Isle of Man. And then the weather caused chaos.
It caused chaos getting there. Then it caused chaos getting back. I know they were handing out sick bags before the ferry had even taken off. Which is never a good sign.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, we missed anything else in a week of darts?
Let's just mention Bow winning all 3. Rhiannon O'Sullivan got to the final in all 3 as well. It's just running into Bow.
It's like the PDC Premier League.
I don't think there's any. We've definitely missed something. We always do, but it's just what.
But yeah, right. We're going to go back again. We'll open up question time as well, and then we'll do these as well because they're both kind of linked. Changing one topic. Wadey was world number 5 a year ago. Now he's 14. And then Wade's 25 on the tour card race. Gob.
One for you.
Your boy is in a bit of bother.
MC Dogfather.
Played well this weekend, though. I've seen him banging multiple ton plus averages. That's not very Wadey, which is where he was when he was picking up ITV tournaments. There's a long way to go before we get another ITV tournament, but they are his favourites. He's also a multiple match play winner.
But his record at the recent match plays are horrific.
Yeah, it's not much better than the Grand Prix, which it should be for a double expert. But yeah, you know.
But I until James said that, I didn't realise how far he'd slipped. 25 on the tour card race.
It's because he's defending lots of ITV events.
It's a huge drop.
That's mad.
He'll be a rate. Seen it so many times before from Wadey, and yet he won't even fall. Where is he?
14 at the moment.
He ain't even the 16, is he? Let's be honest, he never does.
So... So he's defending 43 grand at the Grand Slam. $100 at the Worlds. 15 at the match play. Another 15. Yeah, that was this year.
100 at the Worlds. Christ. That was the year it opened up and he was shite.
Yeah. That was when him getting to the semi-final the way it was absolutely nailed on. He couldn't not get to the semi-final.
No, he played dreadful. Who beat him in that semi?
Michael Smith. Yeah, because didn't he have like a tournament average of 86? And didn't any 180s in the first 3 games or something, was it?
That's damn right.
Yeah. So yeah, he's got work to do. And not qualifying for Euro Tours is not going to help that quest because he's one that has lived in that because of his ranking.
Yeah, he's a name you always expect to see there and thereabouts. However, he's one who finds a win when he's unlikely. He always tends to be that one. I know we talked about the resurgence of Gary, but James Wade is known for, and the stats out there about picking up titles across the last 3 decades.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's hibernated in the top 10 in the world for 3 decades.
Yeah, so it's just he's probably preferring the fact that no one's talking about him at the moment, and that to Dobbs' delight, he will find his way into a final at some point and stay in and around that area.
Don't be mad, be better.
Yeah, Alagan did dominate. We didn't see a lot of it, but people were updating us on the stream that it was just Alagan.
Yes.
There probably wasn't a stream because he's probably standing in front of it. Let's be honest.
Just got taken down for being inappropriate. It's just his last. It's like a bad Twitch stream.
Yeah. But yeah, it was interesting. So yeah, question time then. Fire them in. Let us know. Seniors, Gob, you excited?
always.
The golden ticket is on the horizon.
Yes, I'll have a catch up tomorrow. I should see how we're getting on, but I think everything is heading in the right direction. International way to watch is being launched in the next 24 hours. So it's not just the UK fans watching on Channel 5.
And let's be honest, more darts in Blackpool is a positive with whatever organisation, especially the follow-on from the senior success in the Worlds is just a positive. It means 2 visits to Blackpool a year, Philip.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going to be open at this time of year, though.
Oh, trust me, we'll find places.
Oh, we'll find somewhere, yeah, but it's not going to be like it is in the summer, is it?
I don't know. There's a half decent little alleyway just past Walkabout. Yeah.
That doesn't sound right at all.
Bars upstairs somewhere.
It sounds so seedy, it's unreal.
Yeah, terrible.
Really expensive.
Especially with the Lutties done for tonight as well.
We missed Luke Littler's 9 darter as well, but instead of celebrating that, he was more interested about hammering Liverpool fans, which upset God.
Come on, Lutey boy.
Always been a Thomas Banks fan myself. Luke's fantastic.
Yeah.
It was the JDC Advanced Tour this weekend as well. The titles are all spread around. The names coming through that, the performance coming through that, ridiculous. I was having a look through their socials. We see Leighton Bennett in multiple finals picking up 1 win. Henry Coates picking up a win. I think, did we see Banks win 1?
Yeah, Thomas Banks did win 1.
And then the 4th one. Can't remember who won the 4th one.
Good to see Leighton Bennett's name then. Did he start a bit quiet recently? So good to see him batting winner's circle and it being mixed up.
Jensen Walker won the 4th one and finished top on the order of merit. So Jensen Walker 1, Leighton Bennett 2, Henry Coates 3, Thomas Banks 4, Ryan Branley 5, Kieran Thompson 6, Almos Kovac 7, Lewis Bell 8, and Archie Self down in 9. I want nothing to do with it. These kids are 14 to 16 and nah.
Gob's out.
I'm well out. I went Super League on Sunday and averaged 51 for fuck's sake. I want absolutely nothing to do with it. Dreadful. Absolutely dreadful.
On this one, no, David, no news other than what Matt Porter told us a couple of weeks ago that he's trying to sort it all out, as in Corey, but no news as of yet. At what point is it almost impossible for him to recover?
I'm not sure it is. Halfway through next year, probably.
Yeah, I was.
Look, he's that good. We've seen him do it before.
He's that good, but with the amount of pressure on him, that changes slightly. I know. I agree he's that good, and the averages he hits after 3 years away, you kind of think, well, if this is only 1 year away, it's not as bad. And he will be playing away from PDC circuit. Will he be in Germany?
No, he's not. He's not entered.
Which does surprise me a little, but it is a big cost just for a weekend. And jet lag and all the likes, etc. But if Scott Williams can make it in a year off of the Challenge Tour, there's absolutely no reason why Corey Cadby couldn't do it in a year off of the Pro Tour or less. Because as good as Scott Williams was last year, the last time we saw Corey Cadby on a Pro Tour, he was a better dart player than Scott Williams. He was a better dart player than the impact Josh Rock had last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Josh Rock went flying up those rankings. So if Corey returns to the level that he was at before, he could rock up in February next year and still give it a good crack.
I don't know how old Michael was when he won his first.
He's still playing BDO at 17 when he won the Masters.
Yeah.
No idea.
No. We'll try and find out. World Series of Darts finals.
No, it gives a significance to the rest of the World Series. And they can host a qualifier for it. Yay! That's what they need to scrap. That's what they need to scrap. The qualifier for the World Series, in which players spend absolutely no time all year involved in any of the World Series events, don't get a chance to qualify for any of the earlier events, and they go, ha, let's invite all these Pro Tour players and Danny Noppert can make the final. Get fucked.
Happy Monday.
Monday, Tuesday, happy days.
That's nothing against Danny Noppert, by the way. That's against that system. Danny played absolutely no involvement in the World Series at all that year. It was the year before they added the Dutch Darts Masters on behalf of Via Plays Big Pockets. I'm not making any friends tonight, am I?
Yeah, the little snip we're going to use to preview next week's show is that bit you just said about Danny Noppert. So whatever you say afterwards means nothing, mate.
Yeah. He had a right to be there because he went to the qualifier, but that just shouldn't be a thing, should it?
No.
Let's be honest.
The World Series finals should only be players that have played in the World Series.
Yeah.
Czech's potential dark horses for the World Cup.
Caroland.
Gaulas.
Ooh. Awkward.
Very
yeah.
awkward.
Awkward. Ooh.
As far as I know, it's going to be 501.
I think the change to all pairs is significant enough for them. They might look at a format change at another point, but I don't think they want to overcomplicate the game. They already have the double in. If you suddenly have a gimmick for every single event and changing format, I think it becomes difficult for a newbie to embrace and get involved in. Well, why are they starting from that this time instead of that? Like, it's no good to a.
Yeah, I suggested a few years down the line that doubling would be a good idea, but I wouldn't go to changing it to a 701 or a 1001. 501's the standard for the professional Damon.
And I appreciate if you play pairs local league or whatever, you tend to play a longer format. But not at this level. I want to see it just go at it.
Yeah.
Soon.
It's not that soon. I've already got the invite.
I know of one. It's in September, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I thought King had played pretty well this weekend, but to not get any of the Euros is massive for him.
Jamie, that's such a positive message, and so you've put that little bit in the end. Does that just gave Dobey a huge smile?
I get twins.
I love the fact that people are looking at players now and thinking, oh, well, at least we'll see him on the seniors. The positive of, the Steve Beaton chat July before we run into that form was sort of around that. People are looking at it thinking, yeah, but it's great. We'd see him on the seniors.
No news yet, but they're going to have to make that call kind of soon, I think, for June.
Let him get a cross-border out of the way.
Yeah, just soon, like in the next month.
Not tardy soon.
That's funny for you.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
Someone mentioned this on the stream, Gob, didn't they?
It was not me. And you have won the chance to photograph our Excel spreadsheet and update social media for us.
Who will be the
Northern Ireland week though, and their chairman will be moaning on social media about somebody else. Did I say that out loud?
At the moment, it's Dolan and Gurney. Paul's looking forward to Blackpool.
Who isn't? Who isn't, Paul?
That's because he gets to rock up and do bugger all, by the way.
Yeah, that is true. Weekend off.
Yeah, no wonder he's looking forward to it.
I'm not sure a move to the zone happens yet.
I think more likely to see Viaplay now they exist in the UK. Their model seems to be that little bit more sustainable with TV channels. They're growing in the sports they're picking up at the moment already. You've also got the competition that BT changes to TNT next year and Paramount might go after it.
Yeah.
But I don't see DAZN anymore because all the promises that DAZN made right at the start, long gone.
Yeah, I agree.
£2 and you get all this and that and then no pay-per-view, etc. That's all gone now. That model.
Yeah, I agree that Viaplay would be the front runner if it didn't go back to Sky.
Yeah. Well, they've got the Euro Tours, haven't they? If they continue the coverage, which look fantastic, by the way. I appreciate that's in-house production, which is, as we understand it, the way that the PDC and Matchroom want to go. So if they have that working relationship with them, it is just funding that.
Oh, yeah, massively.
I'm not sure DAZN's been a backward step for boxing. It's a little less accessible, but actually there seems to be more fight nights, especially as Sky have still picked up boxer nights, etc. It's effectively just a different pay-per-view platform.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. Yes, he is. Scott Waite has found ways to lose games he's playing well in at the moment.
Yes. There's a few doing that, though. And again, that's the competitiveness of this tour right now.
This is an interesting one from Jack as well. And I've heard this a fair bit. But just renewed my PDC TV pass, but struggled to get tickets. Yeah, look, one of the benefits of buying a yearly PDC membership is you get priority tickets, which is great. However, the number of people now subscribing to PDC TV to the number of tickets available per session is becoming a little bit tricky. Look, that's a byproduct of the product being successful.
Yeah, agree. It is very difficult when you look at Blackpool and the Worlds are the ones when if you're not a PDC member anymore, you are not seeing match play or World Championship darts on a Saturday or Sunday. Unless you've got a friend who's got a membership who's down and you are not seeing match play or World Championship darts on them weekends.
It's not even that as well. We just booked for the UK Open next year and how difficult that was to get because it virtually sold out to people already on site.
On site. I went on the Sunday on site to purchase for the following year, and there was only stalls left.
Yeah,
which was the only route I'd have done dead anyway, because I didn't sit in my seat till Sunday, because there was no other sport on. So I just done the same ready for next year. But yeah, to see that they'd sold so well, and that is a different route because that is obviously loyalty to the people who've done the previous year. But from back to the PDC membership, that it is very,
well,
very
at that point,
difficult.
it's a closed circle, isn't it? If you go every year, you get to go back every year because you just got the massive advantage over everybody trying to get in.
Yeah.
But you'll appreciate that once you've been 1 year, because you'll be like me.
If you book, but it's almost like having a football season ticket. If you decide not to renew, you're on a waiting list for another 10,000 people or something to get back in again. You have to keep paying it to keep going every year, even if you buy it and sell it to somebody else, just if you want the chance to go again that following time. But then even then, you have to be on site to rebook it.
Tommy, look, PDC TV is £50 a year, and for what you get on it, I think it's exceptional value. And by the way, that's not a plug to them or anything like that. As a darts fan, I think it's exceptional value.
For what you get from a ticketing perspective, I don't even pay 50. I split it with 4 of my friends because when it goes on priority, if I can't go to events, they'll use it or so on and so forth. It's £12.50 each if there's a few you want it. You know, but even at £50, it's worth it. I know what you're going to say, Dob.
Oh, use Jar's account, so it's definitely
worth it. Exactly. I knew what was doing.
Oh, pay a penny.
Right, last one before we go, and I like this one. World Masters format tournament in the PDC would be, I would like the PDC to bring the best of 3 legs sets. I would. Shake your head all you want. Doesn't mean you're right.
It does mean I'm right, because those fuckers find an excuse to have an ad break at every possible opportunity as it is. We're not doing it after every 2 legs instead of every 5.
Yeah, it's only worse if you put it on BBC, and that's not going to happen because we'd have no Toms.
Add you at a 9 darter again?
Yeah, that would be my only downfall. I'm all for it, but to Dob's point, that it has to be on a channel where we've not
They
done
can't ad break after every set.
And on that note, everyone in the chat room, thank you very, very much for the last few hours spending it with us on the live lounge. Plenty coming up this week. I am off to somewhere on Wednesday to get some content, some very exciting news coming. And then Thursday, Premier League. And then we return for Pro Tour streams on Sunday and Monday. Bit of Monday fun. And of course, the Super Series returns tomorrow, 9:30 on the Super Series channel. And other than that, boys, it's been a blast as always.
Yes.
And we promise God will act his age next week.
Yeah, fuck.
I'm with Phill Bars, Jack Garwood, Lee Boyce. Pleasure as always. Everyone in the chat room, give yourselves a round of applause. If you haven't yet, make sure you give us a cheeky thumbs up and subscribe. But we are signing out. We'll see you all same time next week.
Bye.